are you based in Texas? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
We're in Dallas. Yep.
Dallas. Okay, that's awesome,
Yep.
man. So, are you born and bred in Dallas, or are you
Texas? Yeah,
Texas?
I was born in San Angelo, which is
Okay.
way out west. Pretty much flat dirt. And that's all
Right.
there is up there. And then I grew up in San Antonio
Nice.
and
Okay.
went to Texas A&M. So stayed in Texas for college. I got my first job out of college here up in Dallas. So I moved up here and I'm still at that company. So
Awesome.
I
Man.
keep it simple. No reason to shake it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been in Texas my whole life. And honestly, I didn't even travel outside of Texas that much,
Really?
until just a couple of years ago. And, long story short, I decided I wanted to see a little bit more. And, I bought a Jeep and I kind of said, we're going to make an adventure out of this. Right. And so we got in the Jeep and we drove all over the country. And I said, if I'm driving all over the country, I might as well have a camera with me because I want to remember this. Right. And so I went from, just dabbling kind of in photography for a long time. I made my own pinhole camera growing up. I shot on 110 film on those crappy little cameras they used to have back in the day. But it never, I didn't take classes. I didn't go to school for it. It was just something I did in my spare time and always enjoyed it. But it was just sort of, an excuse to get out of the house. Well, I ratcheted that part up to 10, to 11, to 12. And honestly, I don't hike to hike. I hike to see a shot. I hike to get a new perspective, right, on something, or maybe I've seen something out there and I want to see that for myself and capture it in a little bit different way.
Yeah.
So that's what really drove me into hiking itself, is actually photography.
That's
and
awesome.
I've tried to hone that photography skill all along the way.
That's so cool, man. So what was it about the outdoors? I mean, of all the subject matter or styles that you can get into, what was it about outdoors that you said, that's the thing I want to do?
I'm not a huge people person, honestly. And so in this dabbling, I had kind of, I did the Craigslist photographer for hire thing. And hey, I'll take some, portraits of your family. I'll make a little cash on the side. During the recession, is like every dollar counted, right? And I found out, man, I don't really know much about posing. I feel super awkward, right? Telling these people what to do for the camera. And I was like, well, flowers, they don't talk back. Mountains don't talk back. And I could stand to walk a couple of miles. So that seemed like a natural fit.
That's awesome, man. When you got into the, landscape and outdoor photography, were there photographers or things that influenced you or that you learned from, or like who were the big either people or things that kind of taught you and got your style, honed in?
So actually Rod Trevino on Instagram, huge influence. And I actually started following him because of his dog. I just really enjoy, he had a Jeep. Maybe he influenced me more than I thought he did. But now he had this bright red Jeep and this dog that rode shotgun with him, on all of his adventures. And I said, man, that just seems like so much fun. But he's bachelor, no kid, nothing holding him back, right? So he's seen a lot more than I was ever seeing. But I said, I have time in my life. I could do this. I've got the means to do it. And honestly, driving across the country is pretty cheap when you boil it down. If you're camping for $10 a night and all you gotta do is put gas in your Jeep and eat some granola bars along the way, right? You can see a lot and not spend a whole lot. So just in terms of going, wow, there are some real opportunities to work on this craft and maybe show people some things they might not ever have a chance to see.
Right.
I was living vicariously through him and I go, I could probably offer something in that space, right? And I have found that the majority of people that contact me, they go, wow, I'm so happy you posted this. I would have never guessed that was there. I've never seen this before, right? And so that's been a huge part of what drives me to go back out and to get something even better than last time. Show something really unique.
The trip that you took around the country, where would you say, if you had to pick a couple of your top favorite spots that you got to see, or even shoot, if it was something, I didn't get to shoot it, but it was awesome, or some of your favorite shots, where would you say maybe your top like 3 or 4 places that you got to experience?
So it's always the places that are most unlike Texas, right? And so, I mean, I've been here a long time. I've seen pretty much everything the state has to offer. And the biggest mountain we have, that's out in Big Bend, and that's in the boonies, right? And I actually, embarrassingly, haven't even been to Big Bend yet. It's so far away. No, I would say the Pacific Northwest. I always tell people it's like someone did like a Control-C, right, on their computer, and they hit copy on this block of trees, and then they went paste, 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 right? And it's like my Texas brain just doesn't understand trees in general, and then what mountains with trees and just endless scapes of green. Like, that's just so foreign to me. It felt like I was on a different world. And on the flip side of that, Utah was the first place that we went. and it is so unlike anything. It feels like you're on Mars half the time that you're in Utah, in the southwestern portion. And I was so inspired getting out in that desert and seeing colors I had never really seen before together, and landforms. You talk about stuff like arches. Oh my gosh, like there's nothing like that here, right? And then your mind starts racing, like what else is out there? Like what is, within a 2-day drive of me that would just blow my mind? And so that's really what fuels it. But yeah, Pacific Northwest and Oregon in particular, that coastline, otherworldly, the sound of the ocean, those sea stacks, watching the water pound against them. It's amazing.
And you kind of touched on being a family guy too. Is your family as into the outdoors, like your kid, your wife, are they all as excited about it as you, or do you kind of like drag them out with you? How does that work with the family dynamic?
My wife, definitely. I have a really bad habit of overscheduling these trips, right? Because I'm like, we may only be here once, right? We got to see everything. So it's the Clark Griswold. Wow, look at the Grand Canyon. Get back in the car. We got 12 more hours to go, right? She really likes to set up camp and to stay and to put the hammock up and relax. She loves hiking. She's not as fast paced as I am. And the son he's 7 now, and he's been on a 12-mile day with us. And it just about killed him, but he was pressing on and is seeming to enjoy it. So, we try to get him out as much as we can. The bulk of our trips so far have been without him just because of the mileage per day. It would be very tough for him to keep up. But he was going to come to Utah with us on this trip. That was going to be, kind of his first big national park trip. So I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Looking at like gear and all, tell me about what it's like for you when you hike. If you're going in somewhere, if you're doing a couple miles, what are you packing? What is because there's the whole art of like packing a hiking pack, right? But then there's a whole separate art now of packing all the photography gear that you need,
right,
given landscape or situation. What's that look like? How do you pack and prep to go out knowing you're going to shoot and being prepared for anything?
So we haven't done any backcountry camping yet. That would require just a total revamp of what I do, right? If you're going to set a camp up at the end of your day and then move on the next day. So I can pack fairly light knowing I'm coming back to a camp that night. I don't have to lug my tent with me or extra water. So I've got an Osprey 22-liter pack. It's just a hiking backpack with hydration in it, 3 liters. And Tinba is a company that makes these little inserts so you can put in any bags. I put them in my work backpack and I put it at the bottom of my Osprey. And it's a padded, divided up bag that actually gives your bag some structure. So you can set it straight down on the ground. It'll stay upright. And that's what my gear stays in. So at the very bottom of my bag, I've got this extra little padded insert. And that's where I'm keeping my extra lenses or anything I need, filters. And I can actually show you what I take. So my go-to, surprisingly, the lens I use the most is a 100 to 400. And that kind of blows people's minds because they would never assume that this is a hiking lens. Like, wow, that's a huge lens. But when you're stuck on a trail and you see a mountain in the distance and you go, the sun is hitting that in an amazing way, and you don't have a zoom, you're not going to capture it, right? And then my others are just a 24 to 105. It's a Sony. It's the best 24 to 105 I've used on any brand. I recommend that lens for anybody getting into any sort of outdoor. If you had one lens, you're going to cover 95% of what you would shoot. So it's just those 2 lenses. So I keep the 24 to 105 on my camera. I've got a little peak capture clip that goes on my backpack. So my camera just snaps right on. So it stays on me. Big lens behind me and water over here. And that's all you need.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool. What I love it, man. And your shots are just so amazing. Do you prefer, because I know you have these beautiful flower shots that are really tight and really detail oriented. Do you have a preference when you're shooting? Do you know what you're looking for, or do you just kind of take a look around and see what strikes?
No idea. No clue. And the thing about it is, I'll back that up. There's 2 things that I do. One is I have no clue what I'm doing, right? I just want to go out. I want to see what hits my eye. And when you do photography for long enough, people make the joke, you get the eye. You start to see in pictures, you start to see in framing and proportions, and it's absolutely true, man. I can't go to the grocery store, and if something hits my eye with the right light and the right proportions, I go, whoa, there's a picture, right? And so you start to walk around and you go, well, what pops out at me? And whatever pops out at me, I know that's something I need to work on capturing. And 95% of the time, I don't get the shot. I go, what was I seeing here, right? Quarantine has changed a lot of this. We have a little creek down the street, And that's where I've been hanging out in the evenings. And I've just been shocked at the stuff in our own neighborhood, right? We got bobcats and we live in the freaking suburbs, right? And I'm going, whoa, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side of the coin is if I'm going to drive across the country and I go to someplace like Arches, I know I want kind of a unique shot. And so Google Earth has actually been a huge boon because you can put yourself on a trail. You can put yourself, find places that are foot accessible that aren't out of bounds and rotate around and go, well, what would this look like maybe at this time of day? Or, if I just got off the trail 15 feet here, does that change the perspective in a really cool way I haven't seen before? So I either hyper plan and I go, we have to be here at 2:35 in the afternoon, so the sun is blocked by this rock, right? Or it's just, let's just go out and shoot and see what happens.
I love it, man. That's the way to do it. And you sort of touched on this, but I'm interested to hear, you said your job brought you to Dallas.
Yeah.
How does what's your day job?
I'm actually a director of IT at a little privately owned company, and I've been in that role. I've worked my way up to that role, I should say, for 13 years. So I literally started 3 days after college with these guys.
That's crazy, man.
And so I run the IT department there. And as I've kind of, gone up the ranks, they just keep giving me time off. And I'm going, you guys are giving me too much time off. And they go, sorry, it's company policy, right? Yeah. So, I'm literally between the regular holidays and PTO, I'm looking to burn 6 weeks a year. And it's one of those things where I get kind of high strung at work and I got to get off the grid. And I've told them this, they know now, right?
So the next question was how it fits in and what kind of role this plays. So I'm interested to hear it's kind of a decompression for you a little bit. Yeah?
Oh, it's a total escape. And it's one of those things where I go, I'm going somewhere where I don't get cell service. I'm doing this on purpose, right? You are not going to find me and I'll be back in a week, but in this time, this is my time off and this is my decompression. And, when you look at a screen, oh my gosh, you look at that work screen all day long, you come home, you're flicking through Instagram, maybe play a little Call of Duty at the end of the night before bed. You have had a screen in your face the entire time. Yep. So it's just, you get outside and you listen to the birds, you listen to the wind in the trees, and it is just that total recharge. And so I try to do that 3 to 4 times a year. I take a week at a time. And we just disappear. We just go totally off the grid.
And when you come back, do you not feel just like super recharged and ready to go?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's good for my company too, right? They're getting the best of me when I get back. Exactly. My batteries are full, so I think everyone kind of understands that's a good situation for both of us.
And here's what we got. This is one of my favorite parts. If you saw Chris's and it's coming,
We got the lightning round.
Watch that. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 5 questions. Rapid fire, answer as quick as you can. Ready, set, go. What's your favorite season to hike and shoot?
Fall.
Fall. What's a go-to snack that when you go out on a trail, you can't leave home without?
Peanut butter filled pretzels.
Peanut butter filled pretzels, that's a good one. What is one pre-hike or pre-shoot ritual that you always do before you head out to shoot?
Coffee, gotta have a can of cold brew. Gotta wake up.
I like it, okay. What is your ultimate hiking or shooting soundtrack song? What kind of describes you?
Oh my gosh, I love folk music. So I'll just put a folk playlist on, listen to some John Denver, listen to some Camp, some Mandolin Orange. Yeah, something very chill. I
like it. Okay. And here's your last question. What are the top 3 tips that you think every hiker or outdoors person should know before they go out in nature?
You got to drink more water than you think you have to drink, especially if you're going someplace hot, middle of the day, exposed to the sun. That was one of the foibles kind of we ran into early on. And so you have a 3-liter pack and you go, I've got to be near the bottom of this thing. I've been sucking on this thing all day long. And you get back and you have 2 liters of water left in it, right? So you have to just drink constantly. It's super important. Safe shoes, appropriate shoes for what you're doing. We were on Angel's Landing, saw kids running in flip-flops. Oh my God, don't do that. Wear a good hiking shoe, get rubber sole, right? That's super important for safety, especially if you're on an exposed cliff face of some sort. Mm-hmm. And the third thing I think is you just gotta be aware of your surroundings. For a lot of people like me who were born and bred in the city, you get out there and you don't know how to look for snakes. You don't understand what a sudden thunderstorm can do if you're on slick granite rock like at Yosemite. Hey, I want to do half dome. You see the clouds rolling, you got to get off. Sorry, So, water, shoes, and general awareness is all good. Things that none of those I did right in the beginning.